Now it's time for Open House, sponsored by Pyramid Heating and Cooling.
Today I've got AJ from Fortress Building Products. Man, welcome back to Around the House Northwest, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
It is great to talk to you about this because, you know, in our area here specifically, it is one of those things where everybody grabs the pressure-treated lumber and they put that 30 or 40-year-old warranty deck surface on a lumber that has no chance of lasting that long. And how is that going to work out when there's steel out there that can actually do the job and hold up?
Well, that's a great point. A lot of people, when they're building their deck, are putting these composite PVC type decking, ornamental type railings on top of a pressure treated frame. Those products generally will have a 25 to a lifetime warranty on them, and they're putting it on a pressure treated deck that will generally only last 12 years. So you're getting much smaller life out of the more expensive components that go on a deck.
It's funny, and until I started looking at your guys' stuff really down at the International Building Show, and I went, wait a minute, this makes a lot of sense. For a lot of people, and the way lumber prices have been, it's not really that much more considering what you'd have to do in 10 or 15 years to go ahead and remove all this beautiful stuff that you installed, put new wood in, and then have to install it again.
That's right. And with labor costs high as well, you're going to be paying much, much more. The Evolution steel system will stay perfectly flat over the life of its deck. So what's that mean? You're not going to have any tripping hazards as that pressure treated really dries out because it's soaked in chemicals to make it last longer. But as that dries out, it tends to twist, warp, crack, and start to bow. So what's that mean? A contractor is not going to have to sit there and crown every single joist to get that consistent flat surface across their deck, but it's also got a 25-year warranty. So it's going to last 2 to 3 times longer than your pressure treated. So you're getting the full life out of your deck without having to pay someone to come back, remove the railing, remove the decking, reframe the deck and put it back on. So
one of the things that people go, okay, it's steel. How hard is this to have their contractor put it in, or is a experienced DIYer?
Well, so an experienced DIYer could do it. Contractor can do it. So when we were designing the system, we knew to be successful, it had to be a complete system with a complete stair system. It had to look like wood and install like wood, and we had to eliminate as many fasteners as possible. So that's what we did with the Evolution steel framing system. We also pre-engineered it to work on a 12 or 16 inch on a center spacing, which is traditional when you're framing your deck. So all of the components are pre-engineered to fit with each other. So it's basically like once you get your first joist on, it's plug and play. So it goes together really, really quickly. We've actually had deck builders when we were designing the system where we shipped them the components with no installation instructions. Because it looks like wood, installs like wood, you have your ledger, your joists, your beams, and posts. They essentially got the deck completely framed and installed in just a few hours without any installation instructions.
You know, that is the one thing, and I love building with wood. I do it all the time, but that is the problem with, especially with today's composites, because they're flexible. It's not like it's a harder piece of lumber. So that's why you've got to go with that 12-inch on center for many of the products out there, is to support it. And that lends so much to wood moving around. If that contractor or homeowner didn't crown those things, you got this really wavy system going through that. And that steel, that just solves that and makes that the easy button.
You're 100% right. It's also got much larger spans than traditional wood. So what that gives you is the ability to design your deck to the space where you're not limited by your spans for how many beams, posts that you have to set in the ground. So you truly can design it. So for example, you could do a 20 by 20 deck with just 2 posts. So that opens up your view, eliminates having to pour multiple footers or helical piers. So it's a nice feature to have and can save you money in the overall cost of your deck.
See, and that's cool too. And it really makes it pretty on that lower level because you don't have posts every 6 or 8 feet or whatever you're trying to do with wood, especially if you're putting some load up top, like where you have a large deck, outdoor kitchen, or maybe even you went crazy and put the hot tub up there.
That's right. And we've had customers do all sorts of different things. So we actually have engineer spans up to 250 pounds per square foot. So yeah, that's really nice. But you mentioned the beauty. So the aesthetics of the steel system is powder coated in our black sand powder coat. So it's a nice black matte finish. And we actually have about 50% of our customers forego trimming out your posts, trimming out the beams and joists because the look is kind of that modern contemporary. So they like doing that. So they're saving a lot of money on the back end by not using fascia or trim to finish out the deck product.
Man, that is huge. Let's talk about stairs for a little bit, because that always seems to be the struggle with contractors and homeowners out there trying to build these projects. You know, the staircases where you can really tell how well their craftsmanship was. Even if they got a level, sometimes that staircase ends up being a struggle. It looked like you guys had a pretty solid system for that.
Yeah, so that's always the most difficult part. And that's why generally you'll see contractors frame that out last. So we used our typical joist and created different bracketry that you can actually adjust the rise run to fit the pitch, whether it's to a landing or a concrete pad at the bottom. But essentially you're just taking brackets, our joist, and then we have a 48-inch stair tray. So you're eliminating the amount of stringers. And then we have a online stair calculator. You can go in, plug in your dimensions, and it will let you know exactly how to build those stairs. So you're eliminating the amount of stringers you have to do, and it goes together really, really nicely.
That's cool. So how does the railing go in? Because that's always another one of those trouble spots where it seems to trip people up, especially even with wood. How does that railing system attach into that?
Right. So we've actually developed parts specifically for railing attachments. That's always been kind of a hang-up, as you mentioned, even with wood. And to meet the restrictions that the building codes have put in and being much more enforced, we actually developed two ways of attaching the railing, whether it's through bolting through the joist, or we have a new toggle bolt that actually allows you to bolt right inside the joist. So for a surface mounted post, it makes it really easy and much faster than installing railing with traditional wood.
Oh wow! So you're just dropping that toggle in, and you're captured and gone.
That's right.
Oh, I like that. That's so much easier than dealing with wood. That's and it's not going to move around. That's the other part is, you know, when you've got a wood framing, and I've had this with plenty of decks of my own out there, after a couple seasons, especially here in the Pacific Northwest where I am, where we got 4 to 6 months worth of rain, that wood is just so soaked by that time of the year in the springtime, and it seems like everything's kind of moving around a little bit. And then in August, when it hasn't rained for 3 months, everything's all tightened up and moved around again. So that seems like that steel is going to be much more dimensionally stable for you.
That's right. And so we always preach deck safety. And so everything we design meets those building codes. And then working with steel, you're not going to get that deterioration over time. So it gives the homeowner, the contractor, peace of mind that that product will hold up over the lifetime.
Nice. We've got a lot of viewers in the coastal area out here on the Oregon and Washington coast. How does this stuff do in a more coastal region where you've got saltwater as a concern, maybe blowing off the ocean?
Right. So saltwater is an issue. So generally the warranty will drop to 10 years within 1 mile of the coast.
Okay.
Anything off that 1 mile, we still honor that 25-year warranty. So we've done all the testing, the accelerated weather testing. This will indeed hold up in wetter climates as well as dry. Just that 1 mile off the coast is the only restriction.
AJ, is there anything we've missed on this today? There are so many pieces and parts to this. I'm just really intrigued with this system.
Yeah, so basically I could probably sit here and talk about this for hours and hours, and I have before. But the main thing, you know, from a contractor point of view, they're not going to get callbacks to the job when the deck gets wavy. The homeowners are going to have peace of mind that their deck is going to stay perfectly flat and not cause a tripping hazard when they're having friends, family over for a grill out. So it's a great product that we really designed from a contractor's point of view with the homeowner in mind.
Oh, that's cool. And it still has that same powder-coated finish on it, so it's going to be just as durable.
That's right.
I love it, man. I love it. So what's the best way for people to, I know our viewers out there are going, how do I find this stuff? Where do we research it? How do they track you guys down?
Right. So there's a couple different ways. The best way is to go to our website. We have a dealer and a contractor locator on our website, so they can plug it in, you know, steel frame, and it will give you locations around your area. We also have a lot of excellent e-commerce partners like dexdirect.com that will ship it anywhere in the Northwest.
Everybody's starting to dive into these projects right now, and I think this is a really solid option that people should take a look on. Thanks for coming in today, man.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure.